to our show. Today we discuss about social media growth, how you can grow your social media accounts to get traffic, engagement, sales, and many other things. I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Neal Schaffer. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, Anatoly. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I remember when you shared a lot of valuable insights in our first episode. Yeah, that's awesome. I love learning. Before we start, just remind our audience about your experience, background, and why you decided to pay so much attention with social media.
Wow. Well, I have been an author, speaker, consultant on social media marketing, but also digital marketing since 2000. Well, I started blogging back in 2008 and wrote my first book in 2009 and launched my company in 2010. So at the time, the book was actually about LinkedIn. And I just felt there was this huge potential that most people didn't understand about social media. So I was sort of on a mission to help people and companies understand the potential. And really, by helping them become more social, they can help reach their business goals. So yeah, I've been doing it for 12 years. It's a passion that
Mhm.
continues to today.
Nice. Can you tell how often social media algorithms can change? Because for example, we can see that Google can change 5,000 times a year their algorithm, but we get usually for key changes, big changes. What about social media? Because for example. I started my LinkedIn journey in 2020, and I met a few times when something worked, and then it didn't work, so I needed to find something else. Can you tell how often can you see on social media when social media algorithms are changed?
Yeah, Google does a fairly good job of announcing
Hmm.
that. I don't think they announce every update, obviously, but for major updates, they announce it. And this
Hmm.
is why we're doing it. And this is what we hope happens from it. And SEOers and other marketers can learn from it. Social media, social networks don't really do that. Now, LinkedIn, very recently, speaking of LinkedIn, did say that, hey, we're going to start reducing the amount of polls we show in the feed because it was really getting out of control. But that was really rare. We've had Facebook, Instagram, maybe once or twice in their history make an announcement. So, my theory is that algorithms are constantly in flux. They're constantly personalized. I know that Google has tried to do personalization. They really try to do it with Google Plus, which obviously they stopped doing. So there's an amount of personalization with search results, but I think when it comes to your news feed, it's even more personal and there's even a greater degree of personalization. So I'm going to say that social media algorithms are very severe. They're very personalized. I think they're always testing. There's always features that they're only showing to a few percent at a time. And there's tens of thousands of factors that I believe they're tinkering with on a very, very constant basis. So you have major changes at Google that probably happen. I don't know how often, hard to say, a few times a year, maybe in parallel, but I think the little changes are always happening.
Mhm. You mentioned a few times about personalization. I love this word. I think today, without personalization, it's hard, to go ahead because the era of lazy marketers is that customers and users are impatient to get what they want to get. They are not interested to consume some content that are not related with their interest. Can you tell how to personalize your content? How to find this right message for your audience, especially on social media? Because people are not willing to buy on social media. They wanna find valuable information, but how to personalize your message and submit call to action to sell actually products?
Yeah, so my talking about personalization was how the algorithm is personalizing the results for every person. But when we talk about personalization in social media and marketing, I'm working on some new definitions of like marketing and branding for a new course that I'll be teaching at a university. And I think most people forget the way I look at marketing is you're connecting your company or brand with people, right?
Mhm.
So a connection is not always an immediate sale. And if we look back at traditional marketing, like billboards and newspapers, they were not all immediately buy now, click here. There was a lot of brand awareness that went into advertising and marketing as well. So I think that, number one is that companies make this mistake. They're not trying to connect, they're trying to force the issue. right?
Mhm.
So in order to really be successful, you need to be as human and emotional as possible. And therefore, it becomes more personalized when you do that. When you really feel like a person reads it and they feel like you are speaking to them. And that only happens when you think a little bit broader about social media and about the
Mhm.
connection and finding ways of connecting with people. And from that, business will grow. So, when you can connect with one person on a human level, it increases the chances that you can connect with more people because we share something in common. We're human. So that to me is my definition of personalization. I know it's not a traditional definition, but you cannot personalize at scale over social media. With email marketing, you can actually add a first name if you have it and have more personalization.
Mhm.
With social media, you really can't, but you can understand who your target demographic is and try to create content that really resonates with them. To me, is your best chance of achieving this type of personalization, all the while making sure that it's human, it's emotional, and it's creating that human connection.
Yeah, love it. You mentioned that LinkedIn, you pay more attention with LinkedIn. Can you tell why? Why not Twitter? Why not Facebook? Because Facebook has 3 billion users. On YouTube, we have 2.6 billion users. Why LinkedIn? Because I often see when companies limit their possibilities by choosing some specific social media. They think that LinkedIn is only for B2B. That's it. TikTok is only for youngsters. What do you think? How to choose the right social media and why your choice is LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I chose LinkedIn back in 2008. Obviously, today it really depends on where your target market is, right? So
Mhm.
I don't think a lot of B2C companies are going to strategize LinkedIn. It definitely is more B2B. However, if you sell expensive items like real estate or financial services, then LinkedIn might become your most important market.
Mhm.
I think with LinkedIn, with other social networks, it is very, very hard to compete for attention.
Mhm.
It's number one, just the way that the content works, like a TikTok. And number two, the way the algorithms work, like a Facebook, where it's pretty much pay to
Mhm.
play.
Mhm.
LinkedIn is professional. And therefore, if you talk about professional things about your business, there is still a greater chance that people will engage with that content versus, on another network like a Facebook or an Instagram. So I also think that for companies, there is a greater chance of actually getting organic reach compared to some of these other networks because of the algorithm, because of the nature of the content, because of supply and demand. There are still very few people and companies that publish regularly on LinkedIn, and I think that also opens up another opportunity. So LinkedIn's not the only game in town, but it's certainly something. I mean, for B2Bs, it's a no-brainer, number one place you should be. But even for B2Cs, there is some role at a minimum, things like employee advocacy of trying to get your employees involved. There's a minimal role that it should have, and it's something that Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're the set. Well, Facebook's no longer sexy, but Instagram, TikTok, they're the sexy ones. So in the blogosphere and the media, everyone's talking about them. But LinkedIn quietly continues to grow. It's not at 1 billion users yet, maybe at 800 million, but it's certainly a huge network. Probably close to Twitter and Pinterest combined, if not greater than that. So it's certainly the fourth largest network. Well, if you include YouTube, maybe the fifth largest, but it definitely is a network that people should be paying more attention to than they do today.
Yeah, awesome. I'm interested about consistency. For example, if I listen to Gary Vee, I can get that you need to post as maximum as possible, like 4 times a day and even more. And don't care a lot about quality, think more about quantity, because you can cover more broader audience. But some marketing books proclaim that you need to post only high quality content. You need to spend time, and it's hard to create high quality content at scale. I mean, like to post every day. Can you tell how to find this balance between quality and quantity? Because I think for Google it's important, super high quality content, better than content in the top 10 results. But LinkedIn is more social media. What do you think about this balance between quality and quantity?
Yeah, we always have to remember when we talk about what others are doing in social media. So let's compare our social media with Coca-Cola? Well, we can't because it's a huge brand with a lot of money, with a huge budget, with a lot of people, right? And Gary Vaynerchuk, love you, Gary, but he's a huge enterprise as well. He, it's well known that he has a big team working for him, constantly creating content. So for him, yeah, that's his play. He said like 7-8 years ago, I'm going to double down on content, triple down on content. And that's what he does. He is a content making machine. I will say also that even at a minimum, he has a minimal quality that is actually quite good compared to what most people can sustain. So, you have this concept that you are limited in terms of your time and maybe of things you want to talk about and your content creation abilities. I mean, I talk to companies, they don't even know what to blog about once a week for a year. If you can't think up 50 blog posts, how are you going to choose, 365 status updates times 2, 3, 4 times a day, right? It becomes very, very challenging. So I don't think you have to go that far to be effective. And the reason is it's not just social media. There are other digital channels at play here. I think with social media, for most people, for most businesses, you don't have to publish more than once or twice a day. So immediately when you reduce the volume you publish, it should increase the quality out of the bat. But I also think, and my whole strategy on Instagram has been this way. If you don't have something of high quality to say, I wouldn't say it, because the algorithms, with Google, maybe not as much. If you publish one really bad piece of content that doesn't get ranked, it may not necessarily affect your other content that gets ranked. Maybe your authority goes down a tiny bit, probably not much. But with the way that social media algorithms work, when you publish something and people don't engage with it, it's going to affect the way that your future content is seen in the feed and who sees it. And therefore, every piece of content really matters. And therefore, I think that, just publishing too much content is not a good and not a sustainable solution. So I would start small. I always say start small. I literally have a spreadsheet when I talk, because I know that some people listening, well, everybody who listens to Anatoly is probably an expert in their own mind, and they could probably be coming on your show as well. But I have a spreadsheet that says, hey, if you're a beginner at this, what if you can just publish once a month? Awesome. Like, don't get stressed out about it. Just start the process, because for some people, it's hard to even do that. Okay, then if you can do once a week, you're at the intermediate. If you can do daily, I consider you advanced, doing daily consistently. And I'll stick to that. So if you can publish daily and you're seeing results from that, like business results that say, wow, now I know that every time I publish, I'm getting more and more engagement, and that engagement in some way is leading to business. If you can say that, then go ahead, hire a content team, publish as frequently as you like. But I'd rather see you publish daily consistently rather than 5 times a day, and then a few weeks later you're burnt out and then you're invisible in the feed, because the feed is always working. There's always content to show. And sorry, but your content's only good for 24 hours, right? So keep those things in mind. It's a more complicated answer than what Gary Vee says, I believe. So keep those things in mind. Don't overdo it. But I think if you can focus on one a day, it will allow you to create higher quality content and allow you to be more consistent and, be more sustainable as an operation.
Love it, love it. Yeah, I agree. You don't need to copy Gary Vee because, yeah. By the way, I listened to one episode when Gary shares how many people can help to create content, and he mentioned 15 people. They can help to create content and repurpose content with many different social media. So yeah, he has resources. By the way, he started from Twitter as well. He spent like 7 years to tweet every single night. When he promoted his wine brand for some time.
Yes.
So yeah, it's patience. I'm interested about creating the right content plan. For example, if I'm looking for a content plan for Google, I can search for evergreen content, by using keyword research tools. What about social media? How to create this content plan? For example, if I'm going to post every single day.
Well, yeah. So, social media does have hashtags, and LinkedIn does have hashtags as well. So I think it's less about the search aspect, although, social media, they are search engines themselves, but we don't use them necessarily to do a lot of searches. And when we do, it's normally based on the hashtag. I think it's more of when your content appears in the feed of your followers, do they engage or not? That is the critical thing. And therefore, instead of thinking about the SEO of your content, think more about the visuals of your content, photos, videos, memes, GIFs. These are the things that tend to catch people's eyes. And these are the things that tend to get the engagement that then gets your content more visibility and allows it to be successful. So yeah, you should include SEO hashtags. Even LinkedIn has something called creator mode. And everybody watching this video or listening to this podcast should be on creator mode on LinkedIn. Just go to edit your profile. You'll see it pop up. Just turn it on. It's free. It allows you to associate 5 hashtags with your profile that will appear in your profile. But also there's a feeling among people like me that, and LinkedIn sort of hinted at it, that they want to expose the content of creators to more people in LinkedIn. So there's a feeling that if you publish content and you use a hashtag that is affiliated with one of those 5 hashtags that you say that you're sort of an expert on, that there's a feeling that you might get a little bit extra visibility in the feed because of that. So I guess with Google, it's like, well, if you use schema markup and you have an FAQ section, you have a greater chance of getting the same content seen. It's sort of a similar aspect with LinkedIn. So, very different than SEO, but it's all about attracting attention and the hashtags, in all honesty.
By the way, about content on mode, creator mode, on LinkedIn. When I set up this feature, and I tried many different formats on LinkedIn. I posted content and published articles, but all articles got low engagement, probably without engagement. Then LinkedIn changed the algorithm, and today all your followers and connections can subscribe to your newsletter if you have this creator mode. After writing the article about my experience with filming videos and SEO, I got 32,000 subscribers on my newsletter on LinkedIn. I was shocked, because today, if I post any article, I can get like 28% of open rate. It's a lot, it's like more than 9,000 views when I post new articles. And with this creator mode, I could overcome this struggle to get engagement for my articles. So I recommend to everyone just to build your loyal audience and set up this feature, because you can get high engagement. And LinkedIn, by the way, sends emails to all the subscribers to their email list, and they can open your article and read it. So I agree with that. Love it. I'm interested about engagement.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into that. So LinkedIn articles, actually, when they were just formed many years ago, they used to get a lot of engagement. I had articles that had 100,000 views on LinkedIn. And once again, the algorithm changed and they no longer really favor that. But today, the number one thing that they're favoring is LinkedIn newsletter, right? And I have a story for you, but I want to ask you, Anatoly, when did you publish your first newsletter? How long did it take you to get to the subscriber base you have?
I think that was 1 month ago, not too long. So I posted like 6 articles on LinkedIn. I didn't get any engagement, and I decided to skip it. Don't use this feature anymore. But when after reading a new blog post, I found that LinkedIn can share your articles by sending 2 emails. I decided to try one more time, and when I posted this article 1 month ago, I got like 20,000 subscribers for 5 hours. For me, I know it's hard to get 25,000 subscribers, because you need to create landing page, to provide a strong reason, to subscribe to your newsletter. It takes time, but with this feature, I got 20,000 subscribers, and right now I have 32,000 subscribers on my LinkedIn articles. And the main reason that, because I know other content creators who tried something like this, and they usually get like 5%, 10%. I got over 30%. Because what it's important, if you want to use this feature, you need to write the best possible article. Maximum value. I use storytelling style. I spent time, to create this story. I submitted my insights, my personal experience, and when LinkedIn sent these articles to all my connections and followers, more than 30% of them subscribed. It's a lot, because I compared to other metrics. And after sending new 2 articles, I got plus 10 thousand subscribers, and for me, yeah, that's good result because I compared with others. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
that's
bad.
amazing. Yeah, you're killing it, my friend. I asked you because I just started my newsletter 2 weeks ago. And I started mine because I was in Japan recently and I met with a friend who also does what I do in Japan. And he mentioned he had started a newsletter a month ago and he already had 600 subscribers. And I'm like, wow,
Nice.
that's good. And I mean, it's bigger than his own email list, right? I'm like, well, wow, how did you do it? He goes, I just, the news feed is just really favoring newsletters. So I started mine 2 weeks ago. I'm not at the level you are, my friend. So challenge accepted. But I do notice that it definitely sends it out to the feed. It sends it in notifications. When I publish my second newsletter, excuse me, I actually got an email. So LinkedIn is also using email to send out email messages about your newsletter. Now, for me, I always did a weekly newsletter. So it was very, very easy for me to repurpose that into the LinkedIn newsletter. But if you don't have a weekly newsletter, doing exactly what you said, Anatoly, really sharing your insights. Did you publish anything this week? Was there any news in your industry this week? Just spending a little bit of time can be really impactful. So yeah, I agree 100%. I'm glad you brought that up because when talking about the LinkedIn algorithm, that is the number one thing. And it does require you. I do believe consistency is going to be key and, quality content. I think if you had a daily newsletter, I don't know if people would subscribe. It's a lot of content, but weekly is a very, very good pace. And it gives you a chance to really compile your thoughts over the course of a week.
Yeah. I have the question about engagement. Can you tell, for example, many content creators, they give up because can't get high engagement. They usually post and nobody cares. They don't get likes, comments, anything. It's frustrating if they share some valuable information. Can you tell how to build your audience who will engage, who will comment, like, and even buy your products? Because it's a big struggle for many people.
Okay, here we go. Peace for all, right? My t-shirt. Peace is a two-way street. I can be peaceful, but if you're not peaceful, it doesn't happen. I believe the same is for engagement. It is a two-way street. If you can understand that analogy, if you want engagement, you have to engage with others. When you engage with others and they engage back, you put a comment on their post and they like your comment, they reply to your comment. The algorithm sees this as you are building some connection with that content creator. And therefore, there's a greater chance that that content creator is going to see your content when you publish. So I think the missing ingredient for a lot of people is the engagement. It's actually going out and engaging with other people's content. Because if you don't see it, you're just seen as someone, you're just seen as a getter and not a giver in the algorithm's perspective, and your content will not do as well. And this is the thing, you can automate everything. You can push content out to the social networks and not even be there. This happens a lot on Twitter, right? I'll get this, hey, Neal Schaffer, thank you for following me. And I'll reply with a hashtag automated question mark, and then I won't get any reply, right? Well, what is the purpose of publishing content if you're not even responding to people who respond to your content? And that's the mindset that marketers and content creators have to get rid of. You give and you'll get. And that's why when I talk about that spreadsheet for publishing content, once a month is intermediate, once a month beginner, once a week intermediate, once a day advanced. I also have a similar one for engagement. And it's the same thing. Although if, for every one post I publish, I'd rather you engage with 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 people. So that's the key thing. And engagement means that you truly care about people. You have a target audience, you have a network, you have followers, and you want to nurture them. And that's part of marketing. So stop looking for the shortcuts of just publishing content. With Google, of course that works. It's a search engine, right? But, social media, it's a two-way street. And the algorithm is just not going to favor your content. And therefore, you're not going to get very many views.
Yeah,
Simple as
I
that.
couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, exactly. Because I check out some studies that people are willing to leave a new comment if they get reply to their comments. For example, if someone leave a comment about thoughts with your content, if you reply to them, even just simple stuff like thank you, name, that's it, it's better, of course, to provide more value. But if you have no time, just simply to write thank you, and you can increase the chance that this people will leave new comments in 6 times. It's a lot. And I remember when I check out a few profiles and they reply to me, I don't know what's going on. People don't want to comment. And I analyzed and found a few comments without reply. uh, how do you want to I don't know, to tell new people to comment if you don't reply the people who try to communicate with you? So for me, yeah, I agree with that. And one more thing, I like in your reply that you need to engage with others, so find relevant posts and comment on their stuff. I think it's a well-working strategy. If you share additional value to their posts, people want to get more value. They read your comments and they understand, oh, yeah, I get value. It's better to follow because I want to get more values. So it's strong reason. Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think about
and I
social
think
media groups?
I think the great thing is that people do not expect you to reply. And
Yeah.
especially if you're a company, they don't. So when you do, it really makes their day. It really makes it memorable for them for the fact that you actually went out of your way to reply. So it's something very simple to do. Just at the end of the day, go through your notifications, right? You don't need a tool for that. I used to use a tool for, and sorry, my son is asking for more game time on his iPhone. But anyway, I used to use a tool to manage all my LinkedIn communication, Twitter, and guess what? I found that it actually slowed me down and it made it harder to manage notifications. So I just go on to LinkedIn directly, go on to Twitter directly, go on to these networks directly. You don't need a tool. You just need a little bit of time and just go through the notifications at a minimum. But don't forget to proactively engage as well. Go through your own feed, right? If there's content you don't want to see there, engage with other content that you do want to see. And so make your feed something that you would want to engage with on a daily basis.
Let's talk about paid or organic reach. From your experience, which way is better, or can businesses consider both? Because, for example, I think organic reach is great. It helps to create brand awareness, but it's harder to sell your products. With paid marketing, you can sell actually products, to set up the right message. What do you think? How to find this balance between organic reach and paid?
I think in 2022, and we're going to be in 2023 soon, it's very, very easy. The writing is on the wall. You should not be expecting website traffic from social media. And if you post on social media only with the aim of getting website traffic, you will fail. If you want website traffic, create better content for Google. That is the best way. There is so much traffic being generated by a search engine versus social media. What social media does want is content for people to stay on the platform. So that's your organic content. It keeps people on the platform. If you want to take people off the platform, that's who you want to pay. And I think today it's really, really simple. I mean, it's black and white. So you can organically try to get people to buy your products, try to get people to your website. It is going to be very, very difficult. And therefore, yes, if you want to make money, you need to spend money. And I think that's what it comes down to. But that organic is so critical in helping your brand get found, in building brand awareness, in developing relationships, educating customers, creating partnerships. And so you really need to think about social media in that way. It also provides credibility, provides social proof for your company. So think about it two different ways, but always remember, people don't buy from people who, even companies who buy from other companies are people, right? So it comes down to people. And those are the people that are going to become your customers. Those are the same people you can be engaging with on a daily basis on LinkedIn. So if you build friendships, it will, and you genuinely help people, it will translate the sales over time. But if that is not working, then yes, certainly accelerate, do the paid option. But yeah, always remember there are other options out there in terms of what might work, what might not work in social media. And for social media advertising, for paid ads, LinkedIn is also very expensive because of its demographic. So that's when you might want to consider other networks to advertise with that might be much more cost effective. But you won't know until you experiment.
Yeah, but I think for LinkedIn, I know a few companies who can set up marketing message with paid marketing. Yeah, it's expensive, but the quality of leads are much higher as well. And I know
Absolutely.
companies, yeah, that handle $120 million for their clients on LinkedIn paid ads, and they provide great results. So yeah, I think this channel works. It's not a good idea to chase cheap clicks. It's more to chase quality leads, clicks who will provide some value. Okay. I'm interested, I often consume your content. I read your blog posts. I know that you have your awesome podcast. You write books. Can you tell about repurposing? For example, if I have only two hands, uh, it's my limit, can you tell how to find time to write blog posts, to record audio podcasts, write books? I know you speak Japanese and Chinese. For me, it's the highest level. Can you tell how you schedule your time to provide all this stuff?
Well, yeah, I get asked that question a lot. And I think that it comes down to a combination of batching, repurposing, um, priorities, and strategic investment. So, for
Mhm.
instance, I wrote this book back in 2020, and this is my fourth book. So my fifth book is actually a little bit delayed. I wish that it would be out by now. So even I am human and don't always find enough time to do things. But I find that, first of all, if you are going to invest in something like a podcast, you need to be consistent with it. Now,
Mhm.
I'm human, and I launched my podcast in 2013, and I only have about 280 episodes. If you do the math, I should have way more episodes. And the reason is there were a few years where I just did not podcast. I just did not feel inspired. I wasn't in the rhythm. And then when I was going to come out with that book, The Age of Influence, a few months beforehand, in the winter of 2019, I realized as I became a more avid podcast listener myself that I really wanted to contribute. I really wanted to get a following, to have a message, to be able to attract great people to interview and what have you. And that's why I really set out where I'm going to be consistent. Now, even since that winter 2019, there are a few weeks where I haven't published, but I've tried to make that up by publishing twice a week, for instance, when I have
Mhm.
time. And really trying to create this stockpile of content that I can reach out to when I have time. So that's what's really, really worked for me. And now it's like, okay, well, I want to get to episode 300 at the end of the year. So if I can publish 50 episodes a year, that gives me 2 weeks off. And that means that, next year I'll end with 350 and then 400 and so on and so on. So, and really, it's about a habit. All of this is about a habit. Posting daily to social media is about creating that habit that you're going to do it. And it's muscle memory. So the podcast is the same, and writing a book is the same. And a lot of the content I do is the same. I X out a day on my calendar. That day is Friday. Friday is my fun day. It's my R&D day. It's my content day, right? So that's the day where I will try to record podcast episodes. I will try to write more of the blog content. And for me, I wrote books. So for me, writing blog content is a natural thing, but I'm also very, very passionate about the
Mhm.
art because I really want to help educate people, Anatolian. I don't know how you feel, but I feel in digital and social media marketing, I posted this post yesterday on LinkedIn. I'm teaching this news course and I'm looking for links of content where I can lead my students to learn more about social media and branding. And I got people going, oh, you should go to HubSpot, or oh, you should go to this site. And businesses create content for content marketing. I create content because I really want to help people. I know you're the same, Anatoly,
Mhm.
right? So I don't want people going to a big company's content. That's corporate America creating content to generate leads, right? It's not
Yeah.
us in the field creating content based on our experience, really trying to help people and really trying to help businesses. So I feel very passionate about that. And that's the passion, Anatoly, that's really driven me to create more and better content so I can defeat all those big companies that have all this great search engine ranking when I think that their content is sometimes off. Now, sometimes their content is bang on, and I bow my head and I will not even try to compete, right? But in most cases, I do think that the content that's written is it's regurgitated. I've seen it on other sites. It's not written by experience. It's not human. It's not emotional. And then I can outperform it. So you have to have passion in what you do. If you are passionate about your business and you want to help others, you will find the time to create the context. The content gives you the visibility. And, podcast content lives on forever. Google content lives on forever. Social media content does not live on forever. And that is why I'm a big fan of the Google, the blog, the podcast, the YouTube video, because these are the things that are searchable over time. Truly, if you create your content to be evergreen, it is the gift that keeps on giving. Social media, very different. It's where everybody is, but it's really this marketplace to develop relationships. You develop business through content on Google, YouTube, podcast. You create relationships through content on social media. But at the end of the day, it does develop into business when you get people over, right, from social media, not by, putting it down their throat, but after they get to know you, they want to know more about that product or that service or your company. And they will click on that link. They will go to your website over time. So it requires a little bit more patience. But that's why, when I wrote the book, and I know that we've gone way off the topic, but it bears, repeating. When I wrote this book, The Age of Influence, I had all these companies reach out for me for help with influencer marketing. But for many of them, influencer marketing was not the best solution for their needs. Maybe it was email marketing. Maybe it was just they didn't have any organic social presence. Maybe it was SEO, right? So there's a lot of different things you could do. And every channel in digital and social has its role. And you need to understand that. And once you understand that, it actually helps you create content, getting back to where I find time. If you have that passion, it actually allows you to more effectively create that content. So yes, I can repurpose my blog posts into my email newsletter, into a LinkedIn newsletter. So repurposing definitely helps. Batching every Friday, pick a time. Many people, I think even Gary Vee talks about the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your time, do R&D, whatever it is, that's what's key. But Anatoly, I do not create as much content as I would like, right? I have a weekly podcast, I have a weekly newsletter, and my blog is going 4 times a week, which is awesome. But I don't have time to do YouTube videos. I don't have time to write books. So even I don't have time to do everything, but pick one of those. You don't have to do all of them, right? But the blog is something that gives you traffic from Google, and it gives you something to talk about. You could repurpose your blog post into a podcast. You can talk about it on LinkedIn, put in your newsletter. To me, that is where it all starts. Now, for other people, it starts with the podcast. For others, the YouTube video. Pick your poison, but pick one of those and use social as an extension of that to repurpose. And I think you're going to be a lot more successful. And you're going to find, heck, Neal is right. I do have time to do this.
Yeah, givers get more than takers. Yeah, definitely about that. And I know how to find patience, because many content creators give up because of patience. They can't get results. And you mentioned about passion. If you have passion, you don't need to have patience, because with passion you can do something that you like. For example, if I like playing tennis, I can play tennis. I'm not waiting that someone will pay money, because I love playing tennis. So it's the same with creating content. If you love creating content, you don't need to have this patience, because I know some content creators spend 6 months without results. They create content at scale every single day, but they love it. They are not waiting when someone will engage with their content. But consistency can help to create quality, confidence, and to learn about your audience. So I love your reply. Definitely about that.
Yeah, and case in point, right? And I always, yes. So if you are in marketing, one of the most popular podcasts on all the charts is a podcast called the Marketing Books Podcast. This is a podcast put out by Douglas Burdett, who
You
is the
spoke on
CEO
this podcast, I know.
of the Sales Artillery, right? For those that don't know, he started this podcast because he reads a lot of marketing books, and he thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if I could interview these authors and learn from them? And he started it with a passion and a curiosity. And I know that, Anatoly, you also have some of that. You learn a lot from, you're a great learner. You learn a lot from interviewing people. And I'm the same, right? I want to interview people on my podcast that I feel like I can learn from. So it's a passion, it's a curiosity, and it can lead to some great business results, like I know it has for Douglas over time. But you got to start with that, the curiosity, the passion. I like the combination of both. For me, my blog content, Anatoly, I'll be honest, a lot of it's R&D, a lot of it's my own education. I want to learn more about this. What are the top, 10 SEO KPIs that SEOers use? I don't know, but if I go through the top 20 results that Google shows me for top SEO KPIs, and I do a little bit of analysis, I'm going to come up with some ideas. Yes, this makes sense. No, this doesn't make sense. Yes, this is one I'd recommend. And then I write my own post, right? So, if it's a combination of like R&D, passion that will allow you to keep going with your content. And you know what? If you give up on one platform, try another one. 90 days. If it doesn't work, go to another platform. Don't give up on the content creation because it does work. It does require time. Sometimes you didn't choose the right platform, the right medium, or sometimes your content may not be good enough. You know, Anatoly, I blogged for many years without comparing my content with what shows up in search results for that content. It is very humbling, right? I was doing keyword research yesterday. There was a blog post I was going to write. I looked at the top search results. I go, you know what? I can't compete with that. I don't have that deep of experience that these people have in this topic to be able to write something even half as good. I'm just not going to write about it, right? But it's very humbling. But it also means that, wow, I can create better content in the top 10 results. I'm going to do it. That's where the passion comes out. When you see the traffic and things start to click over time, that's where you keep going because now you have your energy. And once you develop the business, then yeah, you definitely keep going. But yeah, you need to get to that point. For some people, I mean, it takes 3 months. For others, it takes a year or two. But you got to keep going. It's an investment, but it's an asset, right? Every piece of content is an asset. It's part of your IP. And don't forget that. You're building brand equity with every piece of content you publish.
Yeah, you unhided my loving strategy. You know, I'm looking for topics that have a lack of quality content in the top 10 results. You know, if I can create something better, much better content, I skip this. You know, even if I can get high traffic, you know, results. But for me, it's better to cover topics that have a lack of quality content where you can provide a lot more insights because Google cares about that.
And also, Anatoly, if I am a consultant on social media marketing, there is a minimum amount of content I have to have. I can't be a consultant without publishing any content about LinkedIn, regardless if it's going to appear at the top of the search results or not, right? So there's also this, you have stories to share, you have content to share. So there's also a part of this content where don't worry about the search engines, but share your passion, share your experience. And that's the other side I don't want people to forget about as well.
Yeah, I have the final question about learning about social media. For example, if you started today without any experience, skills, anything, you know, what would you do to learn about social media?
Man, the number one thing you can do is consume social media. Every day, spend an hour, right? What content comes in your newsfeed? What content is getting a lot of engagement? What are people talking about? That is the best education you can get. And it's something that a lot of people just don't do, right? So it was my podcast. I created my podcast in 2013 as part of my own content marketing, but I had never listened to a podcast. How can I create a podcast when everybody listening is comparing my podcast with others and saying, this is bad, right? So once you consume the content, so, you know, I haven't started a TikTok strategy yet. I have started a YouTube strategy and I've consumed a lot of YouTube videos. And I realized, no, YouTube isn't a place where you just upload videos. You actually have to have a very tactical strategy. You need to create videos in a certain way because that's the way that people use the platform. So you need to understand the way that people use these platforms. And it's the same thing with, you know, talking about search intent with Google. You need to understand, you know, if Google's serving up top results, it's because those are highly performing posts. What are people looking for when they search for those keywords? So it all comes down to understanding the human psyche, the users, the platforms. And literally, if you could spend a week or a month or 3 months just consuming, I guarantee you that when you start creating content, you're already going to be way ahead of all those other people who don't care. They're not engaging. They're not looking at their own news feed. They don't understand what's working, like the newsletter, right, that we just talked about. And they're completely missing out on the boat because of that.
Awesome tips. Neal, it's a big pleasure to get on my show, to learn from you. You always share valuable insights. Yeah, I love it. Tell our audience.
You are, you know, in terms of like growth hackers out there in marketing, you are at the top level, my friend. I really enjoy talking with you and hearing about your progress and seeing all the amazing thought leaders. I'm really honored to be here that you have on your own video. So the pleasure is mine. I know I see a lot of my feeds, so I know I'll continue to see your content even after this is done.
Yeah, a big pleasure. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you.
Well, my name is I just woke up. So Neal Schaffer. So I am Neal Schaffer everywhere on social media. NealSchaffer.com. My podcast is called Your Digital Marketing Coach with Neal Schaffer. And if you search on Amazon, you'll find my books as well. And yeah, I love making new connections and helping people where I can. So I know that Anatoly is the same, and he should be your go-to person for questions. But if I can be of any other help as well, please let me know.
Okay, guys, you can find all these links in the description below. Thanks again. A big pleasure, Neil. Welcome back anytime because I know that you can share a lot of valuable insights. Guys, you need to follow to connect with Neil. Send the connection message because we don't want to get some spam, Yeah. And see you on the next episode.